Can I play for food? That's all her cardboard sign said. The crowd laughed. How could a starving homeless girl offer anything but pity? But then her trembling hands touched the keys, and the laughter died, because behind the dirt-stained clothes was a gift no one expected, a gift that would force them to question everything they thought they knew. What happens when the girl they mocked becomes the one they can't forget? She didn't start out as the girl people laughed at. Long before the streets and the hunger, she was just a child who discovered a piano tucked away in a small church. The keys were chipped, the pedals stiff, but to her, it was magic. Her small hands fumbled, missing notes, yet every sound lit her face. She didn't hear mistakes. She heard freedom, but life turned without warning. Her family lost their home, the piano left behind with everything else. What followed was a free fall, meals replaced with uncertainty, nights traded for park benches, and the humiliating stares of strangers who walked faster when they saw her. Still, the music clung to her. It wasn't something she played, it was something that lived inside her. Each time she glimpsed a piano through glass, her heart skipped. She imagined pressing the keys again, imagined her pain turning into melody, and so she found herself on a crowded street corner, holding a sign that trembled in her hands. Can I play for food? This wasn't just a plea. It was a test. Would they see her? Or would this be another day where her gift was buried under their scorn? The first few minutes passed with nothing but silence. People rushed by, their eyes sliding over her sign as if it carried a disease. A few whispered to one another, smirking, shaking their heads. Then the laughter began. A group of well-dressed students slowed down, pointing at her torn jacket and messy hair. One of them pulled out a phone, filming her like she was some sideshow attraction. "Play for food? What a joke," one muttered, loud enough for her to hear. The sting of their words burned more than the hunger twisting in her stomach. But she stayed still, gripping the sign tighter. Moments later, an older man stopped, but not with kindness. He scowled, eyeing her skin, her clothes, the way she stood in the cold. "You people always begging, always lazy," he spat before turning away. She wanted to shout, to explain she wasn't asking for pity, only a chance to prove herself. But her voice stuck in her throat. She had learned long ago that speaking up rarely changed minds. It only made the cruelty sharper. The crowd grew thicker. Phones lifted, recording. Mocking voices rose around her. Some laughed at her dirt-stained hands. Others sneered at the idea that someone like her could know anything about music. Racism and poverty blurred together into one cruel wall of rejection. Every second she stood there felt like a battle she was losing. And then, the turning point. A cafe worker stepped outside, dragging a battered upright piano onto the sidewalk. He smirked. "Go on, little prodigy. Show us," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The crowd cheered, not with support, but with the cruel anticipation of watching her fail. Cameras pointed at her face, ready to catch every mistake, every broken note, every moment that could prove their prejudice right. Her heart pounded. She hadn't touched a piano in months. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the chipped keys. The jeers cut into her ears. "She won't even know where to start." "Bet she'll smash the keys like a toddler." "This will be good." She sat down anyway. The cold wood pressed against her back, the weight of every eye drilling into her. For a moment, doubt screamed louder than the crowd. What if they were right? What if her hunger, her pain, had stolen the music from her forever? Her fingers hovered above the keys, frozen. The world seemed to hold its breath, and then she pressed down. The first notes rang out shaky, almost drowned by the sneers of the crowd. But then her fingers found their rhythm, weaving through the keys with a fluency that silenced even the loudest laughter. What started as mockery began to shift, the melody swelling, filling the street, commanding attention. Her body leaned into the piano, every ounce of hunger and heartbreak pouring into sound. The crowd froze. The student who had been filming lowered his phone, his smirk fading. Strangers who had turned away now inched closer, their expressions changing from ridicule to shock. But not everyone softened. A man in the back shouted, "It's fake! No way she's playing that!" His voice dripped with disbelief, not because of her talent, but because he refused to believe someone like her could possess it. Others murmured, feeding the doubt, clinging to their prejudice even as the music proved them wrong. She pressed harder, the chords rising like thunder, defying every insult, every stereotype. Tears burned her eyes, but her hands didn't falter. This was more than survival. It was a declaration. I exist, I matter, and you will hear me. The performance reached its peak. Fast runs, aching chords, beauty spilling into the night air. By the time the final note hung trembling in the cold, the silence was deafening. No laughter, no jeers, just the weight of what they had witnessed. A homeless girl, a black girl, someone they had dismissed as worthless, revealing a brilliance that shattered their assumptions. And then the moment broke. One clap, then another, until the street erupted in applause. Yet beneath the noise, she knew not every heart had changed. Some still crossed their arms, unwilling to let go of their prejudice, but it didn't matter. Because in that instant, the girl they mocked had become unforgettable. When the applause finally faded, she sat motionless at the piano, her chest heaving, her hands still trembling from the storm she had just unleashed. For a brief moment, she wasn't the homeless girl people ignored. She wasn't the punchline to their cruelty. She was an artist, a force, a reminder that brilliance can rise from the places society tries hardest to bury. Some offered her food, coins, even apologies. But she knew that tomorrow, many of the same people would walk past another girl who looked like her and never give her a second thought. Because talent shouldn't be the price of dignity. You shouldn't have to prove your worth with miracles to be seen as human. That night, she ate. That night, she slept with the echo of music still alive in her veins. But the injustice lingered, heavier than hunger. Why did it take a performance, a spectacle, for people to recognize her humanity? Why was her skin, her poverty, enough for them to laugh before they ever chose to listen? Her story is just one among millions. Every day people are judged not by their hearts, their hopes, or their gifts, but by the stereotypes others cling to. And while her music may have silenced a crowd for one night, the world outside that street corner remains louder with prejudice. So ask yourself, how many voices have we drowned out because we refuse to look beyond the surface? How many prodigies, leaders, dreamers have we lost because bias blinded us? This is more than her story. It's a mirror. The real question isn't whether she proved them wrong. It's whether we're finally ready to prove ourselves right.